Good evening, everyone. I welcome all of you to this wonderful session about strengthening immunity in the natural way using natural diet. And I would like to thank the WellCure team for organizing this webinar. And I welcome all of you who have, uh, you know, uh, have come here for sharing your wonderful time with us to learn more about how we can bolster our immune system in a natural way. And this is Dr. Saravanan here. I hope all of you can see me now. So the
Yes, we
reason
can see
for
you.
me to choose this topic is because I was suffering with a lot of health issues in the past during my childhood, and it was because I made some changes in my diet. I learned a lot of things, and I got a lot of improvement. So that is how I got much interest into nutrition, and I thought that this particular um, topic is very important and it's the need of the hour because we need to really need to have a very good, healthy immune system to safeguard us from all infections to lead a healthy and happy life. So at the onset, I would like to give a short introduction about the human immune system. So we need to understand what is the immune system and what it is comprised of and why is it there. If we understand the basics, we'll be able to take care of our immune system in a healthy way. Okay, so the human immune system is a complex mechanism. It's made up of a network of cells and organs, and this immune system is responsible for protection against infections, illnesses, viruses, bacteria, fungal infections, parasites, even cancer cells and toxins. So if the immune system is not functioning properly, we may end up getting all type of infections. We may end up getting all type of problems, all infections and inflammation, and so many other health issues. So it is very vital to have a really good, healthy immune system. And this immune system is comprised of many cells, not only cells, but a lot of a lot of structures. So the organs involved in the immune system are called lymphoid organs. For example, we can say, our adenoids, the tonsils, the lymphatic glands, all of these come under, even appendix, all these come under the lymphoid organs, which take care of our immune system. Apart from this, we have a lot of cells which are involved in the human immune system, like the white blood cells, the macrophages, the neutrophils, the basophils, the lymphocytes. There are so many things involved in this immune system. We simply just need to understand that we just need to provide the right atmosphere for the immune system to work properly. Each and every second, the immune system is functioning, it's doing its work, it's working without rest because we are constantly exposed to foreign bodies all the time, and our immune system is always active. And only because of that, we are enjoying a perfect state of health. So now we have to understand that the immune system, the functioning of the immune system can be affected by a lot of factors. A lot of factors in the sense, a lot of dietary factors, lifestyle factors. These can all weaken the immunity. So as far as the diet is considered, there are many things which can affect the immune system. So you may be knowing many things about the diet these days because most of you are very much into healthy living. So I hope I need not give very detailed information regarding this. But in a nutshell, I would say that all foods which are inflammatory, in the sense, those foods which can trigger inflammation in the body and weaken immunity. So those foods are especially uh, the foods which are loaded with saturated fats and cholesterol, and then trans fats and a lot of artificial ingredients such as the artificial colors and flavors and preservatives. So those type of foods, simply junk foods and processed foods, foods loaded with refined sugar and refined flour and refined oil, and then also all foods which are not of plant origin, especially those animal-based foods, they all tend to weaken the immunity. So there is a study, a research study, which says that those who have high cholesterol levels, their macrophage level may be on the lowest side, or the macrophage function will not be very good. So that literally affects the function of the immune system. So to keep the immune system stronger, we have to focus upon foods which can help strengthen the immune system. And there are many, many foods which we know of which have the power to strengthen the immune system, which have the power to help in building a strong immune system. So we have to focus on upon those specific foods. Literally, a healthy diet can be very helpful in improving the immune system. So there are many nutrients which we need to strengthen the immunity. And we are going to be learning more about these specific foods, these immune building foods in this session. So what are those specific nutrients which we need for the immune system? There are a lot of nutrients such as vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, phytonutrients, and probiotics. So these will all be very helpful for strengthening the immune system. First of all, I would like to start with the vitamins, which will be very helpful for strengthening the immune system. Number one is beta-carotene. The beta-carotene is the precursor of vitamin A, and this vitamin is very helpful in.
Dr. Saravanan, you're sorry to break in, but your voice is a little disturbed. Voice is not getting clear. Uh, Please check
Once
your
again,
audio once. Sure.
yeah, I'm just checking it. Sorry for that. Just a moment. Is it better now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you. All right. So we are going to be discussing more about the important nutrients which we need to keep the immune system stronger. So beta carotene is the precursor of vitamin A, and this is very helpful in increasing the number of infection fighting cells, or the helper T cells. These cells are very, very important as far as the immune system is considered. So where can we find this beta carotene from? This beta carotene is rich in foods like carrots, sweet potatoes, papaya. It's also available in spinach. So simply keep it in mind that all yellow colored fruits and vegetables are rich in this beta carotene. This is also a phytonutrient, which means a nutrient coming from a plant source. So next, we are going to see about another important nutrient, which is very, very essential for our immune system. This is vitamin C. Chemically, it is in the biochemical terms, it is called ascorbic acid. And this is abundantly present in so many natural foods. And this is very essential as an immune booster. Vitamin C enhances the function of the immune cells and offers protection from infection. Where do we get vitamin C from? As all of us as all of us already know, vitamin C is abundantly present in all citrus fruits, starting from lime to uh, oranges, Mozambique, and it's abundantly present in most fruits, greens. It's also present in all our berries, especially our Indian gooseberry. It's also present in other berries like the Himalayan goji berry. So there are many foods, just like the fruits, greens, and berries. If we consume them, we will get vitamin C in abundance. So this is how we will be able to improve vitamin C in our diet. The next vitamin is vitamin E. Vitamin E is very vital for the immune system because it helps in the production of antibodies. So these antibodies are produced whenever we get an infection. Suppose if we get a viral infection or a bacterial infection, our body starts producing these antibodies. Once these antibodies are produced in the body, we become immune to that particular virus or bacteria. So that is why this vitamin E is very important. And some studies have shown that those who have low vitamin E levels, they tend to get more infections or they're prone to more infections. So vitamin E we can easily get from a lot of greens and it's also present in almonds. So if we include a lot of greens in our diet and have at least a handful of almonds in the form of just raw almonds or almond milk, we'll be able to get abundant supply of vitamin E and thereby we can support the immune system. Then comes vitamin D, which is also a hormone. Yes, this vitamin is called sunshine vitamin. We can easily obtain vitamin D by exposing ourselves to sunlight. The ultraviolet B rays from the sun, when it falls on our skin, there will be some reaction happening and which leads to the formation of vitamin D. So this is easily available from sunlight exposure, but the irony is that in spite of getting ample sunlight, there are many people who are suffering with vitamin D deficiency. And statistical data says that almost 80% of Indian population suffers with vitamin D deficiency. So it is very vital and important for us to get out into the sun and uh, get this vitamin D. So we can just simply expose ourselves to sunlight like at least 15 to 20 minutes a day in our balcony or in our terrace. So we get this vitamin naturally. Research studies have shown that vitamin D can help in reduction of viral infections and respiratory tract infections. Vitamin D has the power to boost immunity. So always get your sunlight exposure every day to get this vitamin naturally. Then we can discuss more about the minerals. One important mineral which we need for healthy immune function is zinc. Zinc is abundantly present in legumes and seeds. Seeds such as pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, cucumber seeds are all rich in zinc. And also legumes, all our legumes and beans like rajma, chana, green peas, all these are rich in moong dal, all these are rich in zinc. But if we want to absorb the zinc from these natural foods, we have to eat it in the proper way. Along with zinc, these legumes and seeds, they have a lot of phytates. So these phytates are substances which are considered as anti-nutrients, which block the absorption of zinc. So what do we need to do to remove these phytates? We have to soak. We have to soak, especially the legumes, beans, and pulses. We have to soak this for 4 to 6 hours so that the anti-nutrients are released. And then we can cook it in a healthy way, or we can sprout it and have it as the way we want it. Likewise, the seeds can also be soaked and then to enhance the bioavailability of zinc. So by removing these anti-nutrients, we'll be able to get abundance of zinc naturally. So we don't need any supplements for zinc. We can get it easily from natural food. So if we take care of these nutrients, if we ensure that these nutrients are coming into our day-to-day diet, we can ensure that the immune system is working in a better way. Likewise, there are also other nutrients which we need for the healthy functioning of the immune system. So these are phytonutrients. You can just see the picture, the colorful fruits and greens you're seeing on this picture. All the colors in these fruits and vegetables and greens are because of the presence of these phytonutrients. The study about the phytonutrients itself is a very interesting one because scientists have discovered so many phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are simply plant nutrients. These are also called phytochemicals. Personally, I'm very much interested in studying more about these phytonutrients. For example, papaya has a phytonutrient called papain, which helps in healing stomach ulcers. Tomatoes have lycopene, which help in preventing cancer. And then we see that beta-carotene is present in carrots and many other orange-colored and yellow-colored fruits and vegetables, which helps in preventing different types of cancers. And all the greens, most of the greens, they have this lutein and zeaxanthin. These phytonutrients are very helpful for improving eyesight. And the allyl sulfides present in onions and white-colored vegetables, root vegetables like garlic and shallots, these are helpful in preventing cancer. And then the purple-colored fruits and vegetables, they are rich in anthocyanins and different other uh, antioxidants and phytonutrients, which are very, very helpful in preventing many diseases, especially cancers. And these phytonutrients are very helpful in delaying the aging process. So some of the phytonutrients are also antioxidants, which help in removing the free radicals, which are like um, the rust on iron. So if we remove these free radicals periodically by consuming a diet which is rich in these phytonutrients, then we will be able to lead a healthier life. And we will be able to slow the process of aging. We will be able to delay the onset of many chronic lifestyle diseases. So how do we get these phytonutrients? It is not needed that we have to do a PhD on phytonutrients to understand which food we have to choose. It's quite simple. Just observe from nature. Nature has given us a very good instruction or has given us a very simple pointer. We just need to eat colorful fruits and vegetables and greens. I hope all of you can hear me. Is there any
Yes,
noise
yes,
disturbance?
we can
Yeah,
hear you.
okay. Thank you. So just by choosing different colors, we'll be able to get all the phytonutrients we need. So eat a rainbow every day. That means bring in all the different colors. It's quite easy to get it from all the locally available fruits and vegetables and try to get as much organic as possible to get more benefits from these phytonutrients. So you get the concentration of these nutrients. So that's it about the phytonutrients. And I would like to give a few more tips on improving immunity. We were discussing more about those foods which will be helpful in boosting the immune system. Yes, it is very important that we have to have all these foods to improve our immune system. It is also equally important that we are eliminating unhealthy foods. Like as I said, the refined foods, refined sugar, refined carbs, all the junk foods and processed foods, and most of the animal-based foods, we have to eliminate as far as possible and focus more on eating wholesome plant foods like fruits and vegetables and greens and legumes. So these we have to focus upon. Very important. And the second thing is we also need to remove other immune depleting things like stimulants such as caffeine, coffee and tea, caffeine, and then alcohol and smoking. These all terribly affect the immune system. So we have to stay away from those stimulants and lead a really healthy life. So this is in regards to the nutritional part. But then we also have a lifestyle part to keep the immune system stronger. Stress can terribly affect the immune system. So keeping the mind relaxed and calmer is very much important to enhance the functioning of the immune system. And then lifestyle is very important. Good exercise or yoga activates the immune cells, the immune system, especially the lymphatic system, lymphatic drainage. So exercise is very important. Physical activity is very important. It can be any form of natural body movement, either walking or tai chi or yoga whatever you would like to do. So this any exercise is very important, and then comes sleep. Sleep is vital for immune system. If we are deprived of sleep for many days, then our immune system may not function properly. So it's essential to have good sleep and then a healthy lifestyle. So when all these things are taken care of, we can be we can lead a really healthy lifestyle, and we can avoid most of the health problems and infections. So thank you so much for listening to me in this presentation. So now we have come to the end of the presentation. Now I'm ready to take some questions from you if you have particular questions about immune-related diseases, especially autoimmune diseases, or if you have any specific queries, you can just share your questions here. I'll try to answer. So please understand that here we are just discussing about the general aspects of improving immune system. So no advice given here is specific for a particular illness, and it's not possible to do so because you may need to work with your healthcare practitioner to get a personalized advice. So here I would try to give some generalized advice which may be applicable for your questions. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm looking forward to your questions.
Okay, so whoever wants to ask anything, you can select the raise hand option, and I will unmute you and you can ask your question. So please raise your hands. If anybody has any question, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you.
Pratik, there is one question in the chat.
Okay.
Do medicines lower the immune system? Okay, so this is we can't say that all medicines lower the immune system, but there are some medicines which can lower the immune system. For example, steroidal medications. So some medications can lower the immune system. So we have to support the system by giving a lot of healthy nutrient dense foods.
One more question. Kids are frequently getting infected by cold and cough. How do we increase their immunity?
Thanks for this question. So this is very important. I think I have already written a blog on WellCare about how to improve immune system in kids. So we can refer that article. But to answer this question in a nutshell, I would say that bring in the different colorful foods into their diet. We have to make them eat all these healthy foods like fruits and vegetables and greens. And it is not that we have to forcefully feed kids with these foods. We will be able to make the healthier versions of their favorite foods. For example, we can make a lot of healthy ice creams and smoothies with colorful fruits, and we can use some of these nuts and dry fruits and make it really tastier for them. So that way we'll be able to incorporate all healthful foods into their diet. And it is very vital that we have to avoid things like artificial and processed foods and refined sugar as far as possible. So if these things are taken care of, we can strengthen the immune system of kids.
Can you hear me, doctor? This
Yes.
is Shabna here.
Yes.
Doctor, I think there was a discussion about this in the chat. So how, I mean, we're all vegans right now. So we've been vegans for the last 6 months. So how important is like the role of supplements in vitamin B? Do we have to take supplements for sure? Or else we can get it from the vegan sources itself, from plant sources itself?
Okay. And we are following a whole food plant-based diet, except for vitamin B12, we can get all the nutrients naturally. So we can get the proteins, we can get the calcium, we can get iron, we can get zinc, we can get omega-3s. All these are readily available in nature. The only thing we may not get in the present context is the vitamin B12. Actually, vitamin B12 is produced by a bacteria called cyanobacteria. But because of our modern living, because we are using too much chemicals and these healthy bacteria have been depleted, we are not getting vitamin B12 easily from natural foods. In earlier days, people used to get this vitamin B12 from spring water, from from vegetables which are grown in the root and also from the green leaves and many other agricultural produce. So in the present context, it may be needed that we have to check our vitamin B12 level, and if it is low, we may have to go for a supplementation. And as far as vitamin D is considered, we have a very good source. We have sunlight available in abundance. So try to get it naturally from sunlight. Sunlight exposure has to be done without using sunscreen. And it can be done 15 to 20 minutes in a day. And if there is any problem exposing to sunlight, for example, some people may have photosensitivity or skin issues, which will prevent them from having sunlight. So such people and those people who live in lower temperature zones where they don't have access to sunlight exposure, and those who have very low vitamin D levels, or those who suffer from vitamin D deficiency, they may need supplementation for vitamin D. And we also have plant-based natural vitamin D3 options available now. So you can check with your healthcare provider about this and have this only if it is required. Otherwise, for apparently healthy people and those who have healthy vitamin D level, we can easily get the sunlight. We can easily get vitamin D from 15 to 20 minutes of sunlight exposure. One important thing is that never take immediately after taking sunlight exposure. It's better have the bath first and then expose yourself to sunlight. That way, the absorption of this vitamin D to the body will be much better. So I hope
Doctor,
this
can you
answers your question.
can you suggest like what time is best for this kind of sun exposure? Because people say harmful UV rays, like is there between 10 and evening 4. So should we do it before that, or else like any time the sun exposure is fine?
Ideally, the midday sun has more effect. It's more effective, but then we may not be able to tolerate if we are not used to. So if you're exposing yourself to midday sun, it has to be like at least 10 to 15 minutes. But if you feel disturbed, if you get giddiness, if you feel dehydrated, just stop exposing. And or what we can do is we can expose ourselves to sunlight in the early morning or the late evening sunlight, but we have to extend the time. There we have to do at least for 30 to 40 minutes. And then there are a lot of methods, like as natural hygienists recommend, there are sun basking and sun bathing techniques. You can learn more about these in WellCare website, and if you apply those things, it will be much easier to practice sunlight exposure or sunbathing in a natural and in a safe way.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. And regarding the B12 alone, so only after we test, and if we are deficient, we need to take supplements, or else everybody who is going plant-based has to take B12?
Yeah, everyone who follows a whole food plant-based diet is recommended to take a B12 supplement irrespective of the levels by the experts. But if you want to do it systematically, I would recommend test the B12 level and then plan the supplementation accordingly. And these days we get natural vitamin B12 supplements, plant-based options available easily.
Can you suggest a few brands, Doctor? I mean, any good brands that you would recommend?
I think it's better you can check with a healthcare provider, but I can just recommend the general dosage which the experts recommend. It has to be like at least 2000 to 2500 mcg per week is what some experts recommend. And the daily requirement of this vitamin B12 is just 5 to 6 mcg. We can also get it from fortified foods. Like these days we have fortified natural foods available. Those also can provide us with vitamin B12. But if you're deficient, then it is very vital to get a supplement.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. Can I ask you one more question, if you don't mind?
Please.
Doctor, you spoke about soaking the legumes, like from like chana or moong dal, like prior to cooking, and then we'll have to use only that for cooking. So what do we do with the water? Do we have to dispose of the soaked water, or else do we have to cook in them?
Yeah, the water which we soaked first, that has to be drained, and we could use the then again we have to cook it with fresh water that we can use. The first Yeah, the first time we use the water, that we have to drain it.
Okay, and even the legumes like tuvar dal and all that, even they have to be, it has to be soaked, or else they can be used as such. It's only chana or like the hard bean that you're talking about.
All pulses, all lentils, all dals need to be soaked to get these anti-nutrients released and to get the maximum benefits, to get maximum absorption of nutrients.
Okay, so even as simple as tuvar dal has to be soaked for 4 hours, doctor, or else it requires only lesser amount
Yeah,
of
at
time.
least 4 to 6 hours.
Even for tuvar dal, like
Yes,
normally.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And if you
okay,
cook
okay.
in that way, you would find that it'd be easy to digest this without much flatulence or bloating.
Oh, okay, and I'm following an alkaline veganism diet, so I'm pretty much sure that you know what I'm talking about. So there are a lot of restrictions on foods that we normally eat, like rice and wheat, and I've had a lot of health issues, and actually, like eliminating them from my diet has actually helped us a lot for both me and my kids as well. So, how well do you think? Do you suggest this alkaline veganism, or is it like too far fetched? Or it is the actual way of eating. So, what is your recommendation on that, doctor?
So ideally, our diet is like fruits and greens and vegetables, but then we have been eating grains for so many years. So if you're transitioning from grains to a grain-free diet, you have to just ensure that you're getting enough healthy carbs and proteins from other sources. So you can choose legumes and pulses to get your protein from, and you can get the carbs from healthy sources like sweet potatoes and um, starchy vegetables, and also from whole fruits. So I think it's better you work with a plant-based doctor or a nutritionist or a natural health practitioner and plan a diet. That way, everything is taken care of. And if you're comfortable with this, and if you're not experiencing any problems, I think it's okay for you to continue. But please check your levels, like have a complete blood work done and see whether your calcium, vitamin D, B12 levels are normal and all other parameters are normal. And as long as everything is fine, you can continue with the diet you're following now.
Doctor, what about soy? There's been contradictory reports saying that soy actually is in fact bad for you, and it's not recommended, for everybody, because soy has got some compounds that are in fact it poisons your system. So, what is your take on soy, the meal maker or soy milk or whatever? Is it really a good source of protein, or else, like as people say, it's not really that good for you?
So this is a very important question because soy is something which is really confusing many people because we get to know a lot of information. But as far as the research studies say, soy in the whole form is not dangerous. Soy is not a magical bean, neither a toxin or a poison. The soy is simply like any other legume which we are consuming. But but if we observe from studies like the Blue Zone study, which studied about the long-living centenarians, the Okinawans in Japan, those people were consuming soy products in the whole form, in the minimally processed form. That means they were consuming homemade tofu, and sweet potatoes and tofu were their staple food. So if you're consuming soy in the organic and in the most natural form, as far as possible, avoiding the processed ones like the soy chunks or whatever, we can avoid those excessive processed soy products, and then soy protein isolate is one which we have to avoid. But if we are consuming the natural form of soy, like the whole soybeans or edamame, or if you're making soy curds or buttermilk at home with organic soybeans, these are all absolutely fine to consume. There is again a word of caution: if someone is allergic to soy, then it has to be eliminated. And the phytoestrogens in soybeans have been shown to be very beneficial for women who have osteoporosis. And in fact, soybeans uh, have been shown to benefit people who have cancers. It has some cancer preventive properties too. So there is no need to worry about having soy in the diet as long as it is in the natural form, organic, and minimally processed. So I hope this answers your question, and I think we have a lot of questions
Yes. Okay. Thank
Just
you so
one
much, Doctor.
second. Thank you so much, Ms. Shaba, asking such a wonderful question, which has helped everyone else also. Dr. Saravanan, there is one question related to soy here, so I'm just continuing with that. So Shakira Begum have asked the question, is soy inferior grain?
Okay. First of all, soy is not a grain, it's just a legume. And as I said, if you consume it in the whole form, minimally processed and organic as far as possible, it's not going to cause any harm unless otherwise it is allergic to somebody.
Okay, so Jayashri, you have raised your hand. Would you like to ask anything?
Yes, please. Hello, Dr. Saravanan.
Hello. Yes.
Thank you for the webinar. I just wanted to ask the effects of pesticides on the immune system. Because,
very good.
Not all of us have access to organic foods. And is it dangerous, or how do we protect ourselves if we don't have organic access to organic foods?
That's a very good question. Very good question. Thanks for this. Yes, our system is not designed to deal with too much chemicals. So it would be better the more natural our foods are. Like the more organic we consume, the better will be our immune system, the better will be our health. But when that is not possible, try to have as much organic as possible. And I would always recommend people to start exploring terrace gardening and check with your local organic farmers market to get the produce. So that way we can get more organic produce. And even if you're not able to do 100%, if we can do as well as possible, we are improving the possibility of getting more nutrients, and the taste will also be much better. In case if somebody is not able to get organic at all, please don't worry. As long as you're consuming a lot of plant foods like fruits and vegetables and fruits and vegetables and greens and all these natural foods. Apart from these pesticides, we have to think about all the natural antioxidants and natural nutrients present in them. So we have to wash these thoroughly and then cook it. Though we may not get as much benefits as consuming organic, we will still be getting some of the benefits, because there have been some research studies done with conventional food products, natural plant food products too, which show these also are beneficial when organic is not available. So organic is the first and best option when we have no other go. We can use plant foods conventionally grown, but clean it properly, wash it properly, and cook it in the proper way and enjoy the foods. I hope this answers your question.
Yes, thank you, but not consume it raw?
Again, this is a controversial question because some experts say that you can still consume it raw. But in my experience, I would recommend that wash it thoroughly, cook it, better cook it, and then have it. Cook it in the healthy way, not in an unhealthy way, like putting oils and depleting the vitamins. So better cook it in a healthy way and have it. So yeah, it would be better if you have organic foods in the raw form. If you want to have more raw foods, try to go organic as far as possible.
Okay.
So, doctor, there's one question in chat. How do we know if our immunity is low?
Yeah. So if our immune system is low, we'll be prone to many infections. It can be skin infections, it can be fungal infections, it can be frequent attack of colds and fevers and infections. It can be any infections, bacterial, viral, fungal, or even parasitic infestation. We often see this in children. They get these worms in their intestines. They get a lot of trouble because of these parasites. So we have to strengthen the immunity if we have all these type of health problems.
Okay, and one more question is, so it's a personal question. My mother is having pain in joints. If she did not have dates daily, is there any alternative for dates to get the same nutrition of dates?
Okay. So if she starts following a whole food plant-based diet, that will be very helpful in reducing the inflammation, and she can still have dates if she follows a whole food plant-based diet. Otherwise, instead of dates, she can also have raisins and figs, which are more or less equivalent to that of dates.
Okay. And another question, what are the alternatives to refined sugar?
Yes, the alternatives to refined sugar, the best natural alternatives are dried fruit powders. Like you can just dry this chiku, and then make it into a powder and use it as a natural sweetener. And another easiest option is dates. You can get natural dates, organic dates, wash it, and then remove the seeds, blend it in the blender, make it into a paste, and use it as a natural sweetener in many recipes. And we can also use raisins as a sweetener, figs as a sweetener. These are all very good natural options. And occasionally you can use a bit of jaggery, but the better to go with dates and raisins and figs as sweeteners.
Okay. And
May I interrupt? I mean, for just one question. So, what about this coconut sugar and palm sugar? Are they not, healthy? A healthier choice?
So when seeing from a whole food perspective, they are still refined and still processed. So occasional indulgence is fine, but the best options are like nature's options are dates and raisins and figs and chiku, and all these can be better options. So it's okay to consume this coconut blossom sugar, or maybe this unrefined palm jaggery or organic jaggery once in a while.
okay, so everybody, I would like to say that Dr. Saravanan will answer all the questions. So you can either raise hands or you can type your question in the message. So that we maintain proper decorum for the webinar and everybody is able to, understand. So the other,
Pratik, 1 second. Since the
yes.
sugar topic is going on, Dr. Saravanan, so there are two
Mhm.
questions which is related to the sugar only.
Mhm.
So Raksha is asking, they are looking for a healthy sweet alternative for tea and coffee.
Mhm.
So I would also like you to put more emphasis here that as per the nature cure principle, is the tea and coffee is allowed, or like, what is your point of view on that? And
Okay.
and then other thing is that they are also asking, is sugar is bad, but is khadi shakar or mishri is beneficial? It's a question from Piruza. So this all sugar questions we can answer together. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Pratik, and thank you, Dr. Saravanan.
Thank you. So these are very good questions. So as far as tea and coffee are considered, these are stimulants. As I said, these can depress the immune system. So the better alternatives are herbal teas. We can have tulsi herbal tea, lemongrass herbal tea. We can make so many herbal teas with the nutritional herbs which are available in our home garden. So that is one thing. And there we can use raisins as a sweetener. Say, for example, if you want to make a pudina herbal tea, so get a handful of pudina herb and then put some raisins and boil this. So you get a wonderful infusion, which is really sweeter and it's rich in antioxidants and the natural sweetness is there. So this we can do. We can also use some natural herbs like stevia. Stevia, not the processed one, just the natural stevia leaves. You can add it to the herbal tea and bring in the natural sweetness there. So these are options. And always try to move away from tea and coffee. If you have been taking tea and coffee for a longer time, slowly reduce it and then shift to herbal teas. So the second question is, sugar is bad, but mishri or kadi shakar is there any benefits consuming these? So there is not much difference between this white sugar and kadi shakar or mishri, except for the fact that this is a little bit unrefined and has some nutrients in it. For example, jaggery has iron in it. It has some other nutrients like potassium and sodium. So that way it's better than white sugar. So if you're transitioning from white sugar, it's okay to have these alternatives for a while. But the best thing is let go of this and then choose nature's way, that is nature's sweetener, that is fruits. So once we stop eating these sugar for some time, at least for 2 to 3 weeks time, the cravings will stop, and we will never need any sweetener except for the natural fruits which nature has given in abundance. The dried fruits are very good sweeteners too.
Okay, so one question is, how can a diabetic patient increase their immunity and reduce their glucose levels?
Okay, this is a very good question. So there are some people who are considered immunocompromised people, especially those who have diabetes, those who have cancers, those who are on autoimmune, those who have autoimmune diseases. So these people, their immune system will be weaker. So how can we improve their immunity? Again, by adopting a healthy diet and a healthy lifestyle, it will be possible to support their immune system. And to reduce their glucose level, research studies have shown that by eating a low fat plant based diet, it will be possible even to reverse diabetes. So we are going to be having another webinar on this topic in the coming Sunday. So we'll discuss more about this.
Okay, so Anusha has raised her hand. Anusha, what is your question?
Hi, Dr. Saravanan. Okay,
Hello.
my question was, even with these healthy foods, some people can have a mild intolerance to them. So I was wondering if there are any tests that a doctor or a naturopath can provide to see if you do have mild intolerance. Maybe you don't have a very obvious allergy, but mild intolerance tests.
All right. So in such cases, I would always recommend doing an elimination diet. That is the best. Because start observing your body, because sometimes tests may not give accurate results. Like if you have allergy to particular food, or if you have an intolerance to particular food, you may also show intolerance to the group of other foods. So it's always better keep a food journal, write whatever you're eating for at least 2 to 4 weeks time, and you would be able to find out which foods you are intolerant to. That way you could eliminate those foods. It's like start observing your body and then taking the steps. That would be even more beneficial than doing tests.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so there is one question in chat. Can we have a combination of fruits at a time, or should we have one kind only?
I will add here, Dr. Saravanan, because there's another question related to the fruits and vegetables only. And also, please tell us, is any fruits and vegetables that diabetic person should avoid? So you can cover both the fruits things together. Thank you. Thank you, Pratik.
So as far as the fruits are considered, it would be better if we go with a mono fruit. That is the ideal. But when you're starting with a whole food plant-based diet, you can have varieties of fruits, but at least separate your melons from the other fruits. That would be better initially. So melons like papaya, watermelon, and then muskmelon. So you can have these together, and the other fruits can be combined. And there is a whole lot of combination of fruits which you can learn more from natural hygienists. But the basic thing is what I'm sharing. And if you can go with mono fruits, which will be even more better, like one fruit, one variety of fruit at a time. If you're having bananas, just bananas at a time. If you're having oranges, just oranges at a time. That would be even better. But it is not essential that you have to do it in the very first stage itself. So in the first stages, when shifting to a whole food plant-based diet, just separate the melons from other fruits. That is more than enough. And as far as the fruits for diabetics can have fruits, almost all the fruits except watermelon and pineapple. These two have high glycemic index, so these have to be avoided. But other fruits can be had only if they are following a low-fat plant-based diet. Otherwise, I know people who follow the regular diet, having a lot of fats and a lot of oil and other stuff, and then they take sugar, and then they take fruits, then their sugar levels go high. So that is not the way to do it. Once you start following a whole food, low fat plant based diet, that will be very helpful to reduce the sugar levels. even if we consume fruits in that diet. So we are going to explore more about this in the upcoming webinar on Sunday about lifestyle diseases.
There is one more question. Ritik, 1 second. Sorry to interrupt. There is one more question related to the fruits only. Papayas also with the melons family or not?
Yes, papayas belong to the melon family.
So they should be taken separately?
They can
Like, can we combine? So my
we can-
question is, can we combine papaya and melons?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so there is one question. What is the best way to have seeds like sesame seeds, melon seeds to get maximum benefit? Should we soak them or roast them?
Okay, to get the maximum benefits, it's always good to soak the seeds, drain the water, and then add it to your salads or add it to any recipes. And it's okay to roast it sometimes to bring in different flavors. For example, if you're going to make a nut butter, you may need to roast it. It's okay, but not always roasting. At least try to have it soaked once or twice or thrice in a week so that you get maximum benefits.
So this Manisha has asked, when taking supplements for B12, for how long should we consume it?
Okay, so it depends upon the levels, and if the B12 level is normal, like 400 to 600 range, then there is no need to take it every day. It may be needed that one has to take it once in a week or so. But if the levels are low, it may be needed that for at least 2 to 3 months time, he or she may have to take it every day. And the dosage has to be decided as per the levels by the doctor or the nutritionist.
Okay, one question is, honey is not vegan, but can we use organic honey as a healthier substitute?
Organic?
Organic honey as a healthier sugar substitute.
So from a whole food perspective, honey is still not a whole food because it doesn't have fiber in it. So as I had already told, the best alternatives are dry fruits like raisins and dates. We can make a dates paste or a date syrup at home and use it as a sweetener.
Okay, and one question is irritable bowel syndrome caused because of low immunity?
Irritable bowel syndrome can be because of many other factors. For example, food intolerance can cause irritable bowel syndrome. Of course, immunity has its role to play because when the immune system is not functioning properly, it can have uh, various effects on the body. Like parasites um, may come into the system when the immune system is not very good. That also can cause irritable bowel like symptoms. And there are a lot of dietary factors which can contribute to irritable bowel syndrome. Food intolerances, food allergies can cause this. And stress is another factor which can influence this irritable bowel syndrome. So we have to address all these things: diet, lifestyle, stress. If everything is taken care of, then it's easier to recover from this problem.
One person has asked, should we have fruits during the first half of the day, or is it okay to have them at night as well?
I would, from my personal experience, I would recommend having fruits as the first thing in the morning because overnight we have been fasting, and then to break the fast, it's always good to start with the fruits. And it's okay to have fruits for the dinner because some people are very comfortable having it for dinner. That's also fine.
Dr. Saravanan, if you allow me, can I something add here on the fruits in the morning thing?
Please.
So I just want to share and add on this thing. So our body has a circadian rhythm. So as per that rhythm, the first half of the day, which is morning 4 to 12 a.m., is the time for the cleansing. So if we eat fruits in the morning between 4 a.m. to 12 in the noon, it's the same thing. Like fruits are the cleansers. The same thing which body fruits does to the body as a harpic does to the toilet. So if you see the first thing in the morning, what you do when you wake up in the morning, you go for the expulsion. So that is a time when body is expelling every toxin which it has accumulated in the night from your body. So help the body by giving the fruits in the morning because fruits are the best cleansers. So that is why it is recommended to have the fruits in the morning. but you can have it in the night also, but better to have it in the morning. So Dr. Saravanan, you can add on to it. That's the point I want you to share. Thank you so much for allowing me.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing this. It's really a valid point. Yes, as you mentioned, fruits as the first thing in the morning is the best because it acts like a cleanser too. And fruits provide us with valuable fiber. Many fruits provide us with soluble fiber, which literally cleanses the intestinal tract and clears constipation, which is considered as a main root cause for many digestive problems. So having fruits as a first thing in the morning is really, really good. And then we have to eat it only when we feel hungry. So it's not that we have to just eat fruits in the morning. Observe the hunger signals and then eat accordingly in the morning.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. I just wanted to know with
Just a
this.
minute. Jayashree, you were saying something?
No, so you don't recommend any additional supplements at all?
Not at all. Just follow the whole food plant-based diet. With if you have sunlight option, sunlight exposure, or if your vitamin D level is low, you may have to take a supplement.
Thank
you
you.
so much for your question. Roxana, yes, you were asking?
Yeah, I just wanted to know because of this total lockdown and fresh fruits and vegetables not available so easily and which is the best thing to boost and build your immunity. What is the next option we have as staying at home and I mean we've been following organic, but with everything shut and it's not easily available. So how do you compensate? What do you do for any alternate option?
It's a very good question. Thanks for this. So what we can do is, as I said, there are many other foods like the different varieties of legumes. We have so many legumes and pulses and lentils available here in our country, which we can easily get. Or if we have already stocked up those foods at home, these are easily available at our home. So there's moong dal, rajma, chana, and then there's cowpeas, and there are different varieties of lentils available here. So incorporating these lentils into the diet will provide us with a valuable B vitamins which we need, like pyridoxine and other B vitamins, which are also supportive for the immune system. Plus, this lentils will provide us with zinc, which is very vital for immune system. And we can include some dry fruits and nuts like almonds, and we can also include foods like flax seeds and chia seeds and also walnuts. So these are rich in anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids. So these are very, very helpful for improving the immune system. And then we can also have some probiotic foods, like we can make fermented vegetables, we can make lacto-fermented vegetables, we can make natural pickles, we can make water kefir. So these are some probiotic rich foods uh, which we can make at home. Coconut yogurt, or maybe the soy curd, or maybe peanut butter milk. So these will all provide us with bacteria, the healthy bacteria, which will also be beneficial in supporting the immune system. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you so much, doctor. Thank you so much.
Dr. Saravanan, if you allow me, can I just add on to this thing?
Please.
So it's a quarantine time. I would suggest that if we can inculcate the habit of maybe growing vegetables or some fruits in our own garden or in the home also. Just an addition. Yeah. Thank you so much for allowing me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne and Savi, for your question. And so next I would like to ask is, a person is facing from gastritis issue after sunset. So what should be done after eating?
Would you please repeat the question? If a
person is frequently facing from gastritis issue after eating every day post sunset. So what should be done in that case?
Okay, the first step we have to do is eat as per hunger signals. That is a basic natural hygiene code. So it's a golden rule which we have to follow. If we eat as per hunger signals, the digestion will be much better. The second thing is we have to eat foods which reduce the inflammation. So those foods which reduce the inflammation are the natural whole plant foods. As long as we are consuming refined foods and those foods which can trigger acidic secretion in the stomach, then we are going to get this acidity again and again. So a whole food plant-based diet eaten as per hunger signals, and then eaten in the right way. Eaten we have to chew it very well. We have to eat it in a very relaxed atmosphere and avoiding stress, practicing a healthy lifestyle. All these come into place when it comes for gut health. So hurry, worry, and curry, these all can affect gut health. This can all cause gastritis. So we have to address all these things to get a permanent solution for this problem.
Okay, so one person needs to know about wheat, and she's saying that studies suggest that people can't tolerate gluten, and that
Mm,
leads to more harm than good.
mm.
So, regarding that.
Okay. So as far as gluten intolerance or gluten allergy is considered, both are different. Gluten allergy may be very severe, whereas gluten intolerance, there are people who may show milder symptoms. So for both these people who have these gluten intolerance and gluten allergies, it is recommended to avoid wheat. And also for people who have autoimmune disorders, for example, autoimmune diseases like celiac disease or maybe SLE or maybe any other autoimmune disease like rheumatoid arthritis. So it's always good to eliminate gluten because this gluten can cause inflammation to them. So those who have these problems, they can have gluten-free grains. There are many gluten-free substitutes available like the millets, and we can also use legumes as a substitute. We can also have the pseudo grains. For example, buckwheat is a pseudo grain. It's not a grain, it's a seed, but then it can be used like a grain. So these are all gluten free, which we can use. And it's not that we have to deprive ourselves if we are avoiding gluten. We have so many options. But for those who can consume, who can tolerate wheat, who don't have any problems with that, for them too, I would recommend reducing the grains as far as possible and increasing the intake of vegetables and greens. And if at all they have to have this wheat, try to get the traditional organic varieties like the MR wheat, which has less gluten content in it.
Okay, so Reiko, you have raised your hand. So, what would you like to ask?
Yeah, hello, Dr. Saravanan. How are you?
Hi, fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you. Yeah, just on behalf of several other people, whom I know, I'm asking. You said that of course, the very rule number one is eat only when you feel hungry.
Hmm.
But many times, out of some social obligation or some little bit of craving, people tend to eat food even if they are not feeling hungry.
Hmm.
So is it that beyond besides developing some kind of a willpower or a mind power, are there any tips would you like to share by with that people can kind of withstand that craving and don't eat unnecessarily without feeling hunger?
So very good
Thank you.
question. Thank you for this. Yeah. So this is again a practice. Eating as per hunger signals is quite natural. If we observe nature, there is no animal or bird which would eat without hunger. There are some animals which eat food, but then they have a different system. So eating as per hunger signals, it's instinctual for us. It's absolutely natural for us. We have lost our instincts. That is why we are eating. It's habitual. It's habitual. We have been eating as per the time, as per the social requirements, and it is quite simple to do this. Ever since I started eating as per hunger signals, my digestion is much better. So some of you might have read my story. I have shared my health journey in WellCare. So I had suffered with severe digestive issues, but now it's much, much better. And wherever I go, whenever I eat, I ensure that I eat only when I feel hungry. And I'm sticking to this, and this has become very natural for me. This is not a forced thing. I just observe my body and eat accordingly. So if there are cravings, like if there are cravings in between meals, that indicates that there could be some deficiencies, especially micronutrient deficiencies. So we have to ensure that we are eating a diet rich in a lot of fruits and vegetables and greens and legumes and pulses and nuts and seeds, so that all the deficiencies are taken care of. If we have micronutrient deficiencies, then these cravings will be more. And then if we have the habit of eating too much sugar and processed foods, then we have to eat out of compulsion, because these foods increase the cravings even more. So we have to remove those things. And then once we start eating whole foods, then it will be easy for us to do this. So very important tip is that it is like a practice. So when I started doing this initially, like in 2005 and 6, it was quite difficult for me when I was in my medical school. Like I may have to eat lunch in the specified time which I was given to, but I started sticking to eating as per hunger signals, and then I was able to cope up with this. So your body has a very good adaptability, and if you start doing this, it will be very easy. I often tell my clients that start the first meal when you feel hungry. If you do it, you will come to know when you feel hungry again. Accordingly, we can just organize our schedule of the day. And it's often that we eat without hunger as the first thing in the morning. We end up confusing the whole day. So the very first meal, if you take care of, then it will be easy for you to continue with the day. So well begun is very good.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
One question is, if I want to gain weight, what specific things should I have in my diet?
Okay. So gaining weight, again, these whole foods, but insisting a little bit more on healthy fats, and some dry fruits and nuts can be included a little bit more. You can have the luxury of some dry fruits and nuts, and proteins, healthy proteins in the form of legumes, and also natural plant proteins, amino acid rich foods like amaranth seeds, and then this quinoa, buckwheat, all these can be incorporated, because these all help in building muscles. We can, and very important thing is exercise. When exercise is combined with a healthy diet, it's easy to gain weight. And in spite of that, if you're not gaining weight, then you have to check with your doctor whether you have any underlying health issue.
Thank
I
you
hope this
for
answers your question. Yeah.
thank you for answering. The next question is, how much gap to give between dinner and then fruits before going to bed?
Ideally 3 to 4 hours time, but that won't be possible for many, because these days many of us have to take late dinner. So that is why we always recommend starting the day with the fruits. Then it's not needed that you have to wait 3 4 hours after your dinner to have your fruit.
So, according to you, what is the best time for having dinner?
Best time to have the dinner ideally is before sunset, as per natural hygiene. But in the initial stages, when you've just started with the health journey, it may not be possible for you, because we may feel hungry, like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. We may feel hungry. So what I recommend is, in the starting phases, again, start eating as per your hunger signals. If you're hungry, uh, try to have an early dinner, but as per your hunger signals. So don't take dinner for the sake of having an early dinner without hunger. That is not a good practice. So even if it is a little bit late, have the dinner, it's okay, and then wait at least 2 hours till you go to bed. If you practice this, and if you start eating as per your hunger signals, you will find that you'll be able to stick to the natural hygiene principles of eating before sunset. That has to happen naturally, without forcing. And you would see that this intermittent fasting also happens naturally if you follow eating as per hunger signals. This is from my experience.
So we should listen to our body's time, not the actual 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. When we are hungry, we should eat then, because
Of
that is
course,
the time when it is most effective and we consume all the nutrients in the best way.
of course, body wisdom surpasses all, bookish knowledge. So that is very important.
Thank you so much for putting light on this. So one question is, do these Is it an absolute must to deskin the almonds before eating them? Because some say it contains a certain amount of cyanide.
Okay, that is the reason we are soaking it. We always recommend soaking it so that the anti-nutrients will be released and then you can have it even with the skin.
Okay, and the last question is legumes are gas forming and not suitable for all bodies, especially people with acid reflux and bloating.
Okay, it's a good question. The first thing is the way we consume legumes, the way we cook the legumes. So if you're cooking the legumes with lot of oil, with lot of spices, and if you're not doing it in the right way, then we may end up with bloating and flatulence. Second thing is if you're not soaking the legumes properly, draining the anti-nutrients, and then eating it, this can also cause bloating. So the best ways to consume are soak for 4 to 6 hours at least, drain the water, and then cook it without oil in a healthy way. Use spices moderately, then you would see that you will have less bloating. And in spite of doing this, if you're still having this bloating or any issues, then you may have to work with your doctor or nutritionist or a natural health practitioner so that you can find out what is going wrong with your system and correct it accordingly.
Thank you so much for answering. Is there any other question that you'd like to ask? Please raise hands.
Pratik, has this question been answered? Many varieties of dates available, all are good or not?
No, not yet.
So please,
From
please repeat the
Manisha.
question.
The question is, there are many varieties of dates available.
Mm-hmm.
How do we choose which are good?
Okay, so choose the natural ones. That means which are not sprayed with glucose or not sprayed with sugar and coated with oil. So organic ones or at least the natural dates. Any variety will do. The variety is about more. It's more about the taste. You know, some varieties are juicier and some varieties are very sweeter. So if you like those, go ahead. As long as these are not, you know, coated with oil and sugar and pesticides and preservatives. Go with natural dates always.
Thank you so much. There is another question which says that if the legume does not have a seed coat, like chana dal, do we still discard the soaked water?
Yes, better. All legumes, go ahead with soaking, discard the water, and then cook it with fresh water.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? If you want.
Doctor, it's regarding the dinner time. So I'm a working person and I come home as late as 10 o'clock. So my dinner is like mostly after that. And then I can't afford to stay awake for 2 hours later than that because my day starts again by 5:30 in the morning. So what else can I do to, probably like make myself a much more healthier person in terms of this eating dinner late and getting up early? So what do you suggest? What is my other go-to alternative?
Okay. In such a situation, again, listen to your body and eat as per your hunger signals. If you feel hungry by 10 p.m., you can eat, but you can at least reduce the burden to the digestive system by just having a fruit meal. Or if you want to have a cooked meal, just have a lot of vegetables and soaked lentils so that it will be like a one-pot meal and you'll be able to digest it easier. Avoiding the grains at least will be very helpful if you're eating late.
What about millets, doctor? Like I have millets in the form of dosa or something. So does it also put a strain on my digestive system if I have it at night?
As long as it is cooked in a healthy way, dosas without oil is fine.
Okay. Thank you so much, doctor.